Apex Legends recently introduced power amps. These new items provide a wide array of benefits such as infinite ammo or unlimited heals. There is currently 5 of them in the game, and if you know how to best utilize them, you'll gain a massive advantage. So in this video, I'm breaking down what each power amp does, the best legend to pair with them, and how to abuse them to win more fights, plus a tier list from the best to the worst. Let's get started. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down each amp into 4 sections. What they do, why it's strong, the best legends to pair with it, and common mistakes players make. And trust me, there is a lot of mistakes people make. To kick things off, we're going to start with the first amp, infinite ammo. And what it sounds like is exactly what it does. This amp removes the stress of having to carry stacks of ammo, which opens backpack slots so you can stack more grenades or meds. I find this feels strongest in early game when you haven't accumulated a ton of ammo yet and have a low tier backpack. A secret benefit to this perk is in a recent patch, they made it so infinite ammo works on care package weapons. And it is also very likely or guaranteed to drop with a Kraber. If you're catching my drift here, yeah, infinite ammo works with Kraber now. Tell me that's not the craziest thing in the game. Another circumstance the infinite ammo perk is fantastic is when you are ever running 2 of the same weapon types, such as R99 with the G7 Scout or a Volt with a triple take. This will help you avoid carrying a minimum of 6 to 7 stacks of ammo. But moving on, this perk is generally a decent option for any legend. The only circumstance that there is a bit of a fall off is if you're playing an assault legend, since they have the combat reserve perk and can just kind of carry more ammo by default. And that leads me to common mistakes I see people making with this perk. I notice players tend to carry more than 1 stack of their respective ammo when you only need to carry 1 stack of ammo for it to become unlimited. But if you do plan to swap out this amp as the game progresses, carrying like at least 1 extra stack of ammo to be prepared isn't a bad idea. Just don't clutter your inventory. Next up, we're going to be talking about Heal Overflow. This amp gives the ability to pop small meds like shield cells and syringes to instantly receive the 25 HP value, but also applies a full heal over time. This is strong because you can basically get full health and shield regen from just a single cell or syringe. I find this perk excels the most after just getting knocked or hit extremely low, because you can just quick pop a single cell and syringe while holding a head glitch or a tight angle as you passively full heal. Like this.
Push me, I dare you to do it!
Which ultimately reduces the time where your gun isn't drawn, since in those scenarios you are extremely vulnerable to getting swung and knocked.
Guys, I went down again! Help!
Which brings us to the best legends to pair with Overflow. This amp is really a solid option for any legend, but excels the most in legends with good disengage abilities, like Alter, Bang, Wraith, Revenant. Basically any legend that can run away from a fight so you can give yourself enough time for the regen to work. Leading us into some common mistakes players will make. The most common thing that I've seen from people is not giving themselves enough time to let the regen fully or mostly work, as taking any damage will cancel the remaining shield regen and even health regen if you get cracked. So playing a solid position and letting the perk do the magic is key to getting the most value out of this perk. And that positional awareness doesn't really fit every single player's playstyle. With Overflow out of the way, that brings us to the next perk, Over Armor. This amp is pretty simple. It gives you an extra 25 tier of armor no matter what character or shield level you are. If you've played Apex before, you've probably lost a fight where if you just had 25 more shield, you probably would have won it. Although it is cope for misplaying, it still kind of is true. It's also worth noting that with the recent Evo changes, capping armor value to purple, Over Armor is the only way to obtain red armor or 225 total health. Now you might be thinking this perk is good for any legend, which is mostly true, But there is some that get way more value out of this than others. And that is going to be your console legend. Over armor technically stacks with console legends passive being zone overcharge, thus allowing you to get the red Evo value, thus letting you get the maximum 125 shield value when only being on blue armor. Imagine emptying half your clip into a guy with blue armor and he's still somehow not cracked. I feel like it confuses the hell out of people. Another thing worth noting is if you throw this onto fortified legends like Newcastle, it kind of just turns them into a raid boss, since not only do they have 225 health, but they also have 15% damage reduction. Good luck winning a fight against that. But that brings us to some common mistakes that players make. Getting full value out of over armor requires having a ton of shield batteries and cells to make sure your shields are always topped off. So if you do pick this up, make sure you have the meds to maintain it. If you've enjoyed the video so far, make sure to like and subscribe.
Please!
Next up is Bottomless Batteries. With this amp, after you find 2 batteries like unlimited ammo, you gain the ability to spam use batteries without consuming any of them. This is strong because it frees up basically any and all inventory slots needed to store batteries, allowing for more ammo or grenades. It also creates the opportunity of allowing you to take more greedy swings and engagement. Yeah, I'm talking about you guys, because you will always have a battery and you don't have to worry about wasting them. Now, which legends pair best with Bottomless? Similar to Overflow, this perk excels most when paired with legends that have good disengage, but personally, I think it's the better alternative to Overflow if you're a backline class like support, console, or recon, because it allows you to instantly pop a bat, then refrag off your aggressive teammates' damage without having to wait. But ultimately, neither perk is the wrong choice. It just comes down to whatever fits your playstyle. On the topic of mistakes, the most common one I see from players is not communicating to their teammates when they pick up this perk. They either continue holding more than 2 batteries, which is wasted backpack potential for more grenades or ammo. And players also just kind of throw their wasted batteries around without letting their teammates know, like, hey, if you need extra bats, here, I just dropped 5 of them. You guys can have these. So just make sure you're communicating that to your teammates. And finally, bringing us to the 5th and final amp, Power Booster. This perk reduces the tactical and ultimate charge time by roughly 35% when equipped. The direct test I did with Power Booster dropped Alter's recharge time from 30 seconds to 25% down to 22 seconds to that same 25% charge, a roughly 36% speed increase. Additionally, this amp also gives a tactical charge every time you get a knock. This is so strong because it can make an already heavily aggressive legend even harder to knock due to having more escapability or more frequent ability uses. Alter queuing in, getting a knock, then instantly queuing out in a different direction. Revenant jumping into a fight, getting a knock and just jumping right out. Bangalore smoking to take a 1v1, then smoking again to run away. The possibilities are endless. That leads us into the best legends to pair with it. I'd argue this amp is insanely strong and valuable for just about every legend in the game. But if I had to choose, it would be legends where their ultimate is extremely influential. Thinking Crypto with EMPs, Revenant with constant Forge of Shadows, Sparrow with Stinger Bolts, or Caustic with endless barrels and ultimates. This perk really turns so many good characters into Thanos. It was kind of hard to think of a common mistake that players do when using this perk because it's so kind of brainless. But one thing I did notice is players not having the initiative to pass it to a teammate who needs it more or in the moment. Like, bro, if you're Mirage, it would be way more beneficial to give it to your Revenant or Bangalore player because they'll just get way more value out of it. Life-saving value, might I add. But Madness, more Mirage ults. Just give it to the Bang, okay? But with all the details out of the way, you may be wondering, Madness, can you dumb it down for me? I got you, my little man. So let's talk about what's the best and what's the worst. Well, the short answer is none of the power amps are really bad because they provide quality of life that didn't exist before. But to make things simple, I formulated a tier list of what to prioritize picking up. At the bottom of B tier, we have infinite ammo. I think this amp only gets decent value when you have nothing else to replace it with or have the same weapon types. It only becomes insane when you can get your hands on a Kraber, which isn't happening every game, thus making it bottom B tier. Next in the B tier is going to be Heal Overflow. The Overflow amp mainly excels if you're a legend with solid disengage or after getting rezzed. Because it requires you to fully remove yourself from the fight while you passively, fully, or mostly heal, it just gives your enemies more time to take space on you to end up isolating you or your teammate, which can cost a fight. Again, this perk is definitely better than nothing, but its caveats kind of make it a B tier. But now we're moving on to the A tier. And that first one is going to be Over Armor. Over Armor is a great option if you just don't want to have to ever think about it. You just straight up gain 25 shield permanently. Just again, make sure you have enough meds to sustain the larger shield pool. And last in the A tier is going to be Bottomless Batteries. This perk is a solid option if you want to just be able to take poorly positioned engagements or ego chow and then just freely spam batteries. This also frees up inventory space, so you should be carrying more grenades to just plow through fights. This amp is a good option for any player, but best in aggro players and legends with disengage, which means the one and only amp in the S tier is Power Booster. Power Booster just supersedes every other amp in terms of value start to finish of the match. The fact that you not only get roughly 35% tactical and ultimate recharge passively, but guaranteed tac refresh after getting a knock basically provides a 2-for-1 value. Players that understand their legends and how to utilize their abilities will double their playmaking potential just from how good this amp is. It is clearly S tier and undoubtedly the best amp in the game. I hope this was able to provide some clarity on each perk and how they should be used. Let me know down below what your favorite amp is and which legend you'd like to pair it with. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. And if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more of the madness.